At first glance, it looks like a fenced-in empty lot at the corner of Church and Bedford Avenues. It's actually an historic landmark. What lies beneath is the reason why. This lot is the final resting place of freed and enslaved African men, women, and children. How many? No one knows. From 1664 to 1731, British colonial law banned black people from being buried in the same cemeteries as white people. Just 1 block away is the Flatbush Dutch Reformed Church. Its cemetery contains the remains of New York's Dutch residents, white people, many of whom owned slaves. This racial segregation, even in death, existed throughout America. Dr. Antoinette Jackson heads the Black Cemetery Network. So far, she has documented 49 Black-only cemeteries in the U.S. She's fighting to preserve them and their memory from erasure.
We really need to call attention to this fact that these cemeteries and these graves have been, ignored, erased, marginalized, underfunded in terms of maintaining them.
200 years ago, 1 in every 3 residents of Brooklyn was a slave. This was the highest number of enslaved people north of the Mason-Dixon line. As an agricultural hub, Brooklyn largely depended on slave labor. In 2007, the Flatbush African Burial Ground was designated a New York City landmark. But in 2020, the city announced plans to build a housing development on top of it.
They're trying to tell us that we do not support local.
The Flatbush African Burial Ground Coalition was formed to stop what it called the desecration of their ancestors. And they won. The city called off its plans to build there in December of 2021. Now, the coalition wants assurances from the city's new mayor, Eric Adams, that the site is safe from future development. Samantha Bernardine co-leads the coalition and is a high school teacher at the Erasmus Hall campus, right next door to the burial ground.
I always ask the question, how would you feel if someone wanted to build on top of your ancestors, on top of the people that died in your family? How would that make you feel?
Some are still outraged that this sacred land was ever to be disturbed.
Have you ever, in the history of this city, really heard of any other community that's not Black or brown have anything built on their site?
In the early 90s, a new building was set to break ground in Lower Manhattan when a construction crew came across the largest known African burial ground, 15,000 graves. Today, it is a national landmark. The lot in Flatbush was once the site of several different schools throughout the years. The last one was demolished in 2016 out of safety concerns. Now, this land appears to be a saved space, a hallowed ground where people can come to honor the dead and to reflect.
All these years I've been walking on top of my ancestors. I don't feel angry anymore. And when I pass by and see these ribbons moving, I feel as if the ancestors are speaking, saying, good job.
Over the weekend, volunteers will gather here at the African Burial Ground to tidy up and to pay their respects to the anonymous men, women, and children buried here without gravestones. In Flatbush, this is Dana Mathura for CJS News.